At 15, my own family threw me out into the night based on my sister's lie. I spent weeks sleeping behind gas stations, hungry and ostracized, a ghost in my own school. Everyone had written me off as a lost cause, but they underestimated my will to fight. When the truth was finally revealed, I demanded more than just an apology. I demanded a public reckoning. My sister framed me, cried to my parents, and got me thrown out barefoot at 15. Weeks later, she bragged about it, and my mom overheard everything. My name is Kyle, and I was 15 when all of this occurred. If you ask my family to characterize me back then, they would most likely say the problem. My father was a man who believed respect was a one-way street. You gave it to him without question, or you received the belt of his voice and, sometimes, his actual belt. My mother followed his lead as if it were gospel. Then there was Becca, my sister, who was 2 years younger and the perfect child. She could set the kitchen on fire making popcorn, and my dad would call it a learning experience. I forgot to mow the lawn once, and I was irresponsible and heading nowhere in life. That's how it always was. Every action I took demonstrated that I was doomed to make mistakes. If she passed an exam, it was because she was diligent. If I passed a test, it was due to luck. She was the golden child, and I was the one who brought the family down. That night, it started normally. I was in my room, fiddling with some music downloads on my ancient laptop. It was late, past 11 o'clock. My door swung open so hard it struck the wall, and both my parents stormed in. My mother's face was flushed, and the veins on my father's forehead were visible. Behind them, Becca was pretending to cry so hard she deserved a medal for it. He stole it. I saw him take it from Dad's wallet, she wailed, pointing directly at me. What? I sat up straight, completely perplexed. Dad was already storming across the room. He grabbed my pillow, lifted it, and there it was, a crumpled wad of bills, maybe $300 or $400. My stomach sank through the floor. I told you, Becca exclaimed, crocodile tears streaming down her cheeks. I hadn't touched his wallet. I hadn't even been near it. But before I could speak, Dad was in my face, jabbing his finger at my chest. You've embarrassed this family for the last damn time. You think we didn't notice things missing before? You think we're stupid? I jumped up, shaking my head. That isn't mine. She planted it. She's lying. Enough, he barked, his voice rattling the glass on my desk. A liar and a thief. You made this house a joke. I turned to my mother for support, but she wouldn't even look me in the eye. Meanwhile, Becca stood behind them, head lowered like a saint. But I caught the smirk, that little flicker of triumph on her lips, as Dad began tearing up my room, tossing my belongings into a trash bag as if I were some stray they were discarding. Dad, please, it isn't true, I pleaded, my voice breaking. It didn't matter. He snatched my rucksack, dumped it out, and began filling it with a few random clothes. I'm terrified to even share a house with him, Becca sniffled. He gets so angry. What if he hurts me? That cut worse than anything. What are you talking about? I've never laid a hand on you. But the damage was done. That's it, Dad growled. Out. Now. They dragged me down the hallway, Becca trailing behind, whispering, I told you they'd believe me. When we reached the front door, Dad jerked it open. The night air hit me like ice. I was barefoot, in sweatpants and a t-shirt. He shoved me onto the porch so forcefully I stumbled. My sneakers were still by the door. I grabbed them just before he slammed it shut. You don't come back here until you're ready to admit what you did and apologize to your sister, he said, his voice quiet and definitive. I didn't do anything. I yelled, my throat raw. She set me up. Don't you dare talk about her like that, he snarled. You're just jealous and bitter. The door slammed shut. For a few moments, I stood there, a trash bag of my life at my feet, waiting. The door never opened. I sat on the porch steps, shivering. At 15, I was out, exiled. The first night, I walked until my legs ached. I ended up at my best friend Lindsay's house. She let me in, her eyes wide with sadness, and gave me a blanket and some leftover pizza. I slept on her floor more soundly than I had in weeks. Her mother, however, was less forgiving. The next morning, she told me privately, Kyle, you can stay for a few nights, but I can't afford another mouth. You'll have to figure something out. On the third day, she dropped me at school early and told me I couldn't return. From then on, I began couch surfing. A classmate let me crash for a night. Another let me stay in their basement, but only for one night. After a week, I was out of options. That's when I started sleeping wherever I could, behind the gas station near the dumpsters, in the library until the security guard kicked me out. Hunger was worse than the cold. The $40 I had saved was gone in days. My stomach would grumble loudly in class. School didn't make things simpler. Becca had worked quickly. By the end of the first week, everyone had heard her version of the story. Kids moved their backpacks when I sat near them. Teachers gave me long stares. One day in the hallway, a basketball player shoulder checked me. "Watch your hands, thief," he yelled. I shoved him back, and a teacher broke it up, but I was the one who got the warning. Becca would catch my glance across the cafeteria, give me a slight smirk, and then resume her perfect angel act for her friends. She was relishing every second of it. By the second week, I was a ghost in my own school. Nights were the worst. The cold concrete made my back ache. All I could think about was that my own family did this to me. One night, I tried to sneak back into the library. Around midnight, the guard's flashlight hit me in the eyes. "Try this one more time, and I'll report you. Then you'll be suspended," he said with a smirk. It began to rain. I walked for miles, the water soaking through my hoodie. The trash bag tore, spilling half my clothes onto the sidewalk. I ended up under the awning of a closed laundromat. My stomach clenched with a hunger that made me lightheaded. That was my breaking point. I sat there shivering, thinking, maybe this is it. Maybe I'll just disappear out here. That's when Lindsay arrived, running up with an umbrella, out of breath. "Kyle, why didn't you answer your phone? I've been looking for you everywhere." "My phone's dead," I murmured. She crouched next to me and pressed a crumpled envelope into my hands. Inside was about $60 in small bills. "Lindsay, I can't," I choked out. "Yes, you can," she cut me off. "It's my allowance. You need it." She lowered her voice. "There's something else." Becca bragged at a party. I heard her. She told people she planted the money, that she set you up. My head snapped up. She admitted it? Yeah, but nobody believed her. They thought she was just showing off. Some even said, "Even if it was true, you probably deserved it." The words were like another kick to the chest. If no one was going to stand up for me, I would have to do it myself. That evening, after cleaning up in a gas station bathroom, I took my damn trash bag and began walking back to the house I grew up in. I wasn't scared. I was just finished. My fist struck the door 3 times, loud enough to sting my knuckles. The door creaked open, and there was Becca. "Well, look who crawled back," she sneered. I shoved past her. "I'm not here to stay. I'm here to talk." My mother's voice echoed from the main room. "Kyle." A second later, she appeared, followed by my father, his arms folded, his face already red. "Out. Now." "No," I replied, my chest heaving. "You're going to hear me this time. You believe her lies long enough. Watch your tone." Dad loomed over me. "You don't get to barge into this house and watch your tone. You threw me out with a trash bag because she cried." I shouted. "You didn't even ask for my side. Not once." "Because we know you," he retorted. "You've always been reckless, Kyle. Always jealous." "Jealous? Let's talk about that. Remember when she copied my science project? And you punished me for it? Always the same story. She's the angel, I'm the screw-up." Dad's jaw clenched. He knew I was right, but instead of admitting it, he doubled down. He took a step closer. "You've done nothing but pull this house down since you were a teenager. You want me to acknowledge we favored her? Fine, we did. Because she earned it." I turned to Becca, who was leaning against a wall, sipping a glass of water, enjoying the show. "Go on," I challenged her. "Swear right now you didn't plant that money. Look me in the eye and swear it." She tilted her head, a smirk playing on her lips. "Sure," she said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "I swear." Dad's face turned hot. He grabbed a glass from the table and threw it. It shattered on the wall right next to my head, shards cutting my arm and cheek. Blood dripped down, but he just pointed at the door, his voice low and quivering with rage. "Get out before I call the cops and tell them you broke in." I steadied myself, refusing to cry. "You've made your choice," I said quietly. "You picked her. You always pick her. One day, you're going to see her for what she is. And when that happens, don't come looking for me." Becca chuckled. "Wow, drama much." I grabbed my bag and walked toward the door. At the threshold, I turned back one last time. "You think I'm a problem? Fine. But when the truth blows up in your faces, remember this moment." I wrenched the door open and stepped into the darkness. I got halfway down the block before I heard footsteps. It was Becca, jogging to catch up, a smug smile on her face. "Relax," she said. "I just want to see how far you'd actually take this." "Farther than you think," I snarled. "I'm done letting you run the show." Her grin widened. "You still don't get it, do you? Nobody's ever going to believe you. To them, You'll always be the screw-up, and I'll always be the one they're proud of. Her voice lowered, becoming crueler. I didn't destroy you. I just gave them proof of what they already believed. That was the smartest thing I've ever done. Say it again, I said, moving closer. She leaned in, her voice a triumphant whisper. I framed you. I planted the money. And I'd do it again. Watching you beg while I win, that's the best part. Then another voice pierced the silence. Excuse me. We froze. My mother stood on the edge of the porch steps, her face pale, her arms crossed tightly. She must have followed Becca out without us noticing. What did you just say? She asked, her tone stern, as if she didn't recognize her own daughter. Becca stiffened, the smirk vanishing. Mom, it was nothing. He's twisting it. Don't lie to me. Mom snapped, her voice shaking. I heard you. You admitted it. You said you planted the money. For the first time in weeks, a glimmer of hope cracked open inside me. The screen door slammed, and Dad stormed onto the porch. What's going on? She admitted it, Martin. Mom cried. She just admitted she framed Kyle. Dad's face lost all color. He looked at Becca, his jaw set. Is that true? Becca looked between us, panic flashing in her eyes. Then, her expression twisted into something venomous. So what if I did? You two always leaned on me to be the perfect one. I couldn't risk him screwing that up, so I took care of it. I made sure he was the one you gave up on. The hush that followed was deafening. Mom staggered back, her hand flying her mouth. You threw me out, I said, my voice raw. You believed her over me. You tossed me in the street with nothing. Mom's weeping intensified. She turned to Dad, her voice breaking. Martin, he's right. We did this. We let it happen. Her hand shook as she took out her phone. If you won't say it, Martin, then I will. Dad stood stiffly, his face hard as stone, but he didn't stop her. Tell me what to write, she asked me. We need to apologize publicly, I dictated slowly. Our son Kyle was wrongly accused. The truth is our daughter Becca framed him, and we believed her. We failed as parents. She typed every word, her hands trembling, and hit post. Within minutes, her phone was buzzing with notifications. Comments poured in. Dad's face went pale. His iron control was lost. You just ruined my life, Becca snapped. Everyone's going to hate me now. Dad rounded on her, his voice low and threatening. No, Becca, you ruined your own life. I walked toward the porch. I'm taking back my bed, I said. You're not doing me a favor. You owe me. No one argued. I walked past them, into the house that felt strange, alien. I was no longer a guest. I had brought the truth to light. As I dropped my trash bag at the foot of the stairs, I looked at them one last time, my hollow-eyed mother, my stern-faced father, and my furious sister. You wanted a perfect daughter so badly you turned me into the villain, I said. Tonight, you told the world the truth. Don't think that fixes it. But at least now, everyone knows what kind of family you really are. And with that, I marched upstairs. For the first time in weeks, I was going to sleep in a proper bed. Not because they allowed it, but because I demanded it.